right, WildStorm fans, you're gonna get a treat right now. We're gonna watch the legendary Joe Chiodo color up one of our favorite characters from WetWorks called Mother One. Were you the original colorist on that?
Yeah.
Sweet. How tough was it to do the gold when this first came out?
It wasn't hard at all. It just, the issue you have is you really have to make it look like metal. So there's a lot of reflected light, and Whilce actually draws a lot of the reflected light in there. You can see the highlight.
Okay.
So you have to make it look like metal. And that's the whole point is, it's shiny.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of do it in stages and pay attention of where, the highlights are.
Was it really tedious to color, or just?
Not any more than other things I've colored.
She's already coming to life. I think Mother One could have had her own book. Lots of babiage to draw and color.
I'll leave it at that point because once I get the hair in, I might put more detail and cast shadows on that face from the hair.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a once over, and then I'll kind of adjust it later.
What do you think of Todd's inks on this piece?
Oh, they look good.
They look pretty decent, huh?
Yeah. I think Whilce always did pretty tight pencils, so I think it makes it easier for the inker. I left a lot of white in these areas.
Yeah.
Depending on the background, I'll put that reflected light into that area.
You still holding up with that coffee we had?
Yeah, I'm caffeinated. I'm zipping along here.
That coffee had a nice nutty taste.
It had a kick to it. I'm buzzing now.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting area. I'm going to put a cast shadow here from the leg.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's not drawn there, it gives it a little bit of depth.
Nice. It's creating the gold shine.
So that kind of throws that leg a little bit back, that cast shadow. And I could put some other cast shadows up here, like, you know, here's one for the chin, a little darker, and it'll pull out the head. But I'll go ahead and do a little bit of that once I get the hair done, because that'll cause a shadow condition on the face. But I'll wait till I get the hair done to do that.
Nice. A lot of detail work in those arms. It's grayish, grays and blues probably.
I'm just trying to blend it to have it a round shape. Or actually the leg is more of a cylinder shape, but I'll try to convey that with the marker. See, that gives it a depth and a roundness. And because this is further back and then the leg has like a bow to it, the highlight would be over here. On this one, I'm just going to leave the highlight right there.
Right.
So when you color, you have to think about what you're doing. You can't just like color within the lines and it being a flat color. You have to kind of, what I do is I try to color, the color of the object is called a local color. So you color that local color as a base, and then you have to have an affected light source. So this will all be different once I get that affected light source, but you also have to put in cast shadows. Sometimes the artist, even though they do a fine drawing, a lot of these are linear drawings, which means they're outlines. So in order to give it depth, I will put cast shadows in certain places to add another dimension to the coloring.
Right.
So you want to just stop there, or you want to keep going?
Alright, moving into Mother One hair.
And with hair, you need to follow the shape of the head and give it a highlight. Okay, with these markers, there's not a whole range, so it gets light and dark, so you have to be careful not to get it too dark. And I'll try to blend it with the lighter one, see if that works. Yeah.
And it definitely looks like you're giving it shape.
Well, when you're painting or coloring form, you can't just color it flat. Like I said, you have to kind of follow the form, and I have knowledge with form and color, so it's easier for me to do it, but it takes a while to learn that. So if you do color several hundred pages of comics, you could figure that out.
You only did 100 pages?
100,000.
And the feedback is that a lot of the fans loved your work, so it was well worth putting in all that overtime. Crazy deadlines. Did you ever have a real crazy deadline where you didn't sleep?
Yeah, sure. Like early on, we did it, but what I did to alleviate that, a lot of times if the inker wasn't quite done with the pages,
Oh, that's right.
I would color pencils on like a Xerox paper, so I wouldn't have to stay up all night waiting for the finished inks. I could color the pencils.
Some pencilers were a little tighter than others, huh?
Yeah. So like this is, I don't know if that's a hole loop or there's a hole there, but I think it's a solid. So I'm going to fill that in. Sometimes you have to try to figure out what the artist is penciling. So that works for me. It's not, even though there was no continuous line there, that works better.
Because there's a lot of hair coming down that way.
But you have to think about what you're coloring. You know, it's like if something's a little off, you have to kind of manage it.
You remember when we went to Hawaii for that signing?
I didn't go.
You didn't go? I thought you were.
No, that wasn't. I didn't go.
We went to Vegas.
We went to Vegas. I remember that.
Yes.
I missed the. I don't know. I think it was busy, or I don't know what happened. I just didn't go to the Hawaiian trip.
That's interesting. Heisler went to Vegas with us too.
Oh yeah. We have pictures to prove it.
Yeah. One day you're gonna have to tell us the iguana story.
Well, I can tell a little bit of it. In the studio, Mike and I had pet iguanas. So we'd have an aquarium, and that was our mascot.
Yeah. Didn't they get drawn into some of the pages? I think Jim drew.
I actually drew one in. You know, there was like a monster. I made him into like a big monster.
Yeah.
But my iguana was called Skippy. That's what my iguana's name was.
Skippy.
I can't remember what Mike's iguana's name was.
I got to meet these iguanas.
They were vicious.
And so why did you guys get iguanas?
I don't know. Mike said he wanted to get one, and I go, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. And so we found a pet store. It was actually in Oceanside, so we drove out here and picked them up. We picked our iguanas out and got our tanks and the heat lamp and
all the accessories.
Truthfully, it was like having a pet rock. They don't really interact much with you. They just sit there.
Pet rock. And so the funny story about the iguana was
Well, Mike's iguana didn't do well. And with the iguanas, you need to give them a certain amount of calcium. And he had, Mike's iguana had brittle bones, so he had, I think we only paid like $35 for the iguana, or $40 or something, not that much. And I can't remember how much he paid to get him fixed, but he had, the poor little iguana had like splints on his legs, and he had to go to the vet several times, and he spent a lot of money trying to get the iguana patched up, and the poor thing just died.
Oh.
So
he put splints on the iguana.
yeah, he had little splints, and poor little guy. And he didn't make it. So there's the hair. I think I'll just stop at that point, but you could see how much form that gets, because you have to consider the shape of the head, the highlight. On hair, I like to go all the way to white to give it a real shiny look. And same, you know, with the armor. I might go in and render a little bit more on the sides here, but I want to figure out what that color is in the background so I can incorporate that into the edge light. But once I get that done, I could adjust some of these colors, but the hair looks pretty good as it is. There's not going to be a whole lot of reflected light in the hair like the metal. The metal's going to shine a lot more and take in a lot of that reflected light of whatever the background color is. But the hair is not going to do that, so the hair is pretty close to being done.
Looks really good.
And that's it.
If I may say.
So I'll try